Hi guys, and welcome to the Women in Nautica podcast. My name is Anna Chalic, and I'm your host and also founder of the Women in Nautica initiative, the leading initiative for inclusivity in the boating industry. I'm very excited for today's episode. We're going to cover a bunch of interesting international and interdisciplinary topics. And here with me on air, I have Ewa Stachurska, and welcome to the episode, Ewa.
Thank you, Anna. Glad to be here with you.
So, for the listeners who don't know you, can you introduce yourself a bit? Tell us a bit more about your educational background, where you come from, and how it led you to the yachting position that you currently have.
Sure. So I'm the head of marketing, communications, and ESG at Simpson Marine in San Lorenzo, Asia Pacific. I'm based in our Hong Kong office and currently here for the past 10 years. My career in the yachting industry started with a dose of serendipity, as I have not initially studied marketing, communication, or any maritime related degree. I studied my master's degree in Romance languages with specialization in comparative linguistics at the University of Gdańsk in Poland. And after my master's completion, I was listed on the university careers webpage as one of the top students of my year. And through that exposure, I was found by the headhunter recruiting for a PR position for a Polish catamaran builder, Sunreef Yachts, my first employer in the field. And not having worked in PR before, I learned everything through experience, really, and exposure to the industry, media, and stakeholders, and with a deeply rooted belief in the power of language, expression, and communication, and which is also reflected through my studies. And it all combined really well together and allowed me to take root in this field and grow. And it was only several years later, a few years in a position while living in Shanghai, that I completed studies in marketing and business relations at the Shanghai University, which gave me a strong foundation in that cross-cultural communication in strategic thinking that has further enlarged my perspective on the business of marketing as a whole and helped me certainly to tackle this field within the APAC region.
Interesting. And I think being situated in a different market than the traditional EU and US part of the boating industry, can you maybe share some specificities which you found maybe from the end of your studies in Shanghai and moving now to your employment in Hong Kong? What was your first, let's say, impact and insight into the industry there?
The first thing we see here in Asia is that it's still a not very mature industry. Coming from Europe, the US, seeing the boat shows, the level of maturity among the customers, the amount of boats and how they are being used. And here in Asia, you can see that it's still in very early stages, although it's already pretty developed in the past, let's say, 40 years. Simpson Marine has recently celebrated 40 years in the market. So we can imagine that within that 4 decades, the things have changed. But still, if you consider that our biggest yachting festival, yacht show in Singapore, presents 70 to 100 yachts on display, whereas Cannes presents 700 yachts on display. And so that you can see the scale is really different. And you can see at different places like Indonesia or China or Philippines, beautiful grounds for cruising, but there is still not enough marinas, not enough facilities. So I would say the market youth is the first thing. And also the customer perception. There is no historical culture of boating, yachting here, except in the expatriate communities, perhaps of Hong Kong, Singapore, and that is more on the sailing side. So there is no heritage of sailing, of boating here. You have to instill that with your clients. You have to create this opportunity by organizing events, open days, cruising days, perhaps regattas, experience days. So there is a lot of activations to do, which is both very time consuming, but at the same time very rewarding because you keep meeting these people all the time. You keep interacting with them and seeing them grow into this industry and this leisure boating industry. So that's fun part. So I think that would be it.
So I understand that raising awareness and educating your potential clients is a big part of growing that base of potential new boaters. And apart from the fact that some places don't have a large infrastructure for boating, what do you think are other key elements that urge them to either buy a boat or a super yacht or not?
I think there is nothing really that can urge them to purchase a yacht or super yacht, but I think progressive expansion of international lifestyles and exposure to international, let's say, a broader scale lifestyle. The customers today are younger here. They have traveled around the world. They have studied at excellent universities and schools. They've skied everywhere. They've been boating with their friends. So I think it's just a natural aspiration to access the level of lifestyle of, let's say, the foreign peers. At the same time, there is real affinity with boating that starts naturally because there is so many beautiful cruising grounds here. We have more than 25,000 islands here and 17,000 in Indonesia alone, 7,000 in the Philippines, and plus, hundreds here and there. So you have that beautiful space to explore with all year round boating conditions and diversity of cultures, welcoming people, growing infrastructure. So I think it's just the progressive growth of both the industry, the infrastructure, the legal part, and also the people's perception and people's taste.
And what you mentioned, I think it's very important that it is an all year around destination because I think that the Caribbean and the Mediterranean are somewhat counterparts. And often people say, okay, yes, Mediterranean is gorgeous, but I can go there maybe peak season, June, July, August. Okay, now with the global warming, we see more people extending their boating to October, November. But I think that for young people who are used to have everything now and immediately having somewhere where they can go tomorrow and they know they can boat in a beautiful surrounding, it's important.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And since you also had a bit of experience in Europe and in Asia, this led you to expand your cultural understanding of different cultures and the way they work. Apart from the studies that you conducted, what would you say are the main capabilities that helped you propel your career? So, from the start to the beginning, what was something that helped you to reach the position you're currently in?
I don't really come from that background naturally. When I was young, I was occasionally sailing on sailboats on our Polish Masurian lakes, but my adventure with boats did not go beyond that. So it's really with my first company that I got to experience the world of boating and travel the world and spend time on board and learn about the industry. So I think it's, first of all, it would be learning my basis, learning about the industry. So I think the love of learning and love of knowledge, I would say. And then, of course, there comes some different skills, soft skills, shall we say, like adaptability. We have to adapt to different customers, different markets, different realities, different times, different trends. And I think that's quite strong and crucial, especially working on the global level with different audiences. Being open-minded, because once you approach that local community, which is really different than you and what you know, you really just have to be a blank page and be able to imprint things with that will make sense for them, not necessarily for you. And today I would really confidently say that there is not many things that surprise me anymore. I take it with a smile and okay, let's just get to it. But I think that's important. I think being assertive, because you have to believe in some sort of vision and you have to make sure you can translate it. You can explain it, you can get it work. When you work with the company that is a big APAC company with a lot of people, a lot of offices, a lot of divisions, you need to be assertive and make sure you can drive and implement your vision across the board, and it's as much as possible consistent with the headquarters while also being locally adapted. I think empathy as well, because you meet a lot of people around a lot of diverse communities. So you have to have that open-minded approach, which I think, you have to be empathetic and interested and genuine as well in who you are. And I think trust also in my gut. There is a lot of advisors and a lot of ideas and a lot of comments, and everybody is critical of everything. So you have to really trust your gut to get somewhere. And I think that's probably a big basis. I think you have to have that deep cultural sensitivity. Each market is different. You have to approach it with that difference. And again, being open-minded about it. And I think also resilience. There will be so many obstacles coming your way and challenges every day within the industry, within a specific moment in time of your life, of your career, that you will have to just tackle it and get on with it as well. And I think creativity, you have to try to find angles that will make people connected and engaged and react to what you present. So I think that's also important. And I think we have quite well succeeded in that. And finally, I think making your circle, so strong relationship building. You build relationship with your clients, stakeholders, suppliers, partners, to in the future to create a good network around you that can support you and assist you and help your business expand. So I think that will be probably important qualities that help me navigate challenges and grow in my different roles.
And most of the things you mentioned sound like they come from a hands-on experience, so something that you learn through your work, your career. Do you think that studies, the bachelor's and master thesis we choose, are then not of a large importance, or at least have a lesser impact on our careers if we end up in the boating industry? Because I also personally come from a background of chemistry, and yet I'm here. So would you say that it's more about the things we learn through doing?
Well, in some fields, certainly yes. When we are in the field of engineering, naval architecture, or design, then we have to probably have that background with the scholar education. In terms of more soft skills and a bit of a broader positions, I think we are fine. It's all about personality, your interest in learning, in getting that knowledge, in expanding, and then in becoming better and better, I think. Also interested in what you do and trying to excel within it. I think that's important. But however, once you grow into a bigger role or a more regional role with more scope in business overall, and you take on a strategic position, then having background in business and administration, that makes your life easier for sure and work more efficient. So at some point you would have to step back perhaps and add some things to your education if you think they might lack. But I think indeed, if you just have that sense of learning and you are keen, motivated, and have good approach, I think that you can still tackle this industry pretty well.
I see. Thank you for your insight on this topic. And now moving a bit to the APAC region, do you think there is segments of the market that is still untapped?
Yes, I think so. And that goes obviously hand in hand with the market being yet in the stage of growth. So I think, for instance, super yachts are still very underrepresented compared to Europe and the US, with only 10% of the global fleet of yachts above 30 meter that are either stationed or cruising here. And the other side would be, I think, the overnight chartering is only just beginning to flourish, and starting with Thailand and Indonesia, within Asia, and then the Pacific farther afield. Also, the sailing boat market is still yet to expand within Southeast Asia, namely, as it's mostly rooted now in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and China, with the exception of sailing catamaran segment in Thailand, which are very popular for chartering. And I also see a strong potential in sustainability-driven boating. The hybrid and greener solution are now gaining traction, and I believe there can be a quite leading position here in future. And we, as a San Lorenzo Group brand, we are quite well positioned here as well. So yes, there is still space to grow. A strong growth is expected in Asia, and these particular segments, I would say, the ones that we'll see happening the fastest.
So a lot of potential and also untapped opportunities for anyone listening and is maybe considering to spread their brand or their presence on the APAC region. And when it comes to boat shows in your region, which one is your favorite and which one would you recommend for somebody who's a newcomer to the market to visit?
Considering just Asia, I think there is no doubt only Singapore Yachting Festival, which is really worth of stronger attention. I think it's, the show, which is over 10 years old, has been well established every springtime in Singapore. And this is also the show where we invest most of resources and attention. Aside of Singapore, there is another show which is also a good one, but it is a more local show. It's the Hong Kong Boat Show, happening every December. It's, I would say, twice smaller than Singapore, but it's also It's a show in a very important yachting hub, which is Hong Kong. And if we expand towards APAC, then certainly in Australia, the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show held in May is a place to be to approach the Australian market.
Okay, so some new dates to be added to our listeners' calendars. And moving a
Yes.
bit back to your career. So you're involved with different associations like the 30% Club, the Women's Foundation. How has the involvement with these associations helped your career development?
Well, this association gave me a network of access to a network of very inspiring leaders, both women and men, and who provided support and supported on progress, collaboration. I think they also helped me to expand the power of mentorship and positive exchange, and provided guidance when I needed. I think they also reinforced a feeling in me that diversity is not just the right thing to do, but it's also a solid business advantage. And I also see it as a social innovation, the one that is long overdue. So I personally am now very committed ambassador of diversity, inclusion, and parity within both my personal and professional cycles. So I think with the growth of my position, with the growth of my experience, to lean on these associations and lean on my inner cycle of mentor friends has been essential in my growth as a person and as a leader.
And I also have to congratulate you because I think it's impressive how you're juggling not only your work obligations, but also the involvement with these associations.
Thank you. I think that it gives me a real personal satisfaction. So I try to make sure I do find some time, although you're right, it's quite time consuming. And there's a lot of projects, initiatives, meetings, and workshops, which all are very interesting and inspiring. But talking about inspiring, there is yet another association I'm contributing to in the scope of possibility is the Inspiring Girls Hong Kong. It's a global charity actually that supports young girls in the age of 14 to 18. So in their school years, linking them with so-called role models, coming and meeting them at schools or different workshops and empowering them to dream big. Let's say that in short. And that gives me a particular pleasure to go to schools and see the girls and participate in a workshop, share my experience, listen to them and encourage them to speak and to be brave enough to speak and share their own experience, not only as a woman in the industry or in yachting, but also as a mother of a teenager. And I think that's a very rewarding experience for me. And especially when I can see that after a few sessions, the girls have become much more open and much more open to sharing and happy to share and outspoken as well and sure of themselves and assertive as well in expressing their dreams. And that gives me a particular pleasure because I wish I had that kind of circle when I was a teenager. I had another support that was, my mother, but I think it's great that you can have also a independent woman or independent businesswoman or working professional that can come and exchange with you and give you some time and attention and ensure that you know that you are important.
That's impressive, and I agree. Entrepreneurship, sustainability, diversity, these are all things that are not as covered within young children, but young girls as well, and they are not empowered in that segment, definitely. And when we also look at the segment of sustainability, how are you combining this hot topic within your work? So maybe within marketing strategies or just your approach, either by gaining experience in these associations you're involved with or in general? Where does sustainability play a part?
So it certainly is an important topic to tackle. And as marketeers, marketing gives us the platform to tell stories that inspire, connect, and shift the perspectives. And I use it to showcase not only the craftsmanship and excellence of our yachts, but also the responsibility we have as an industry overall. And we highlight sustainable materials, new technologies, and responsible boating practices. It's really about aligning that luxury with longevity and for people and for the planet. So making sure it goes hand in hand and not as two separate paths. And on the community side, we here with Simpson Marine engage locally with various associations and offer support. That is also something quite strongly relating to my beliefs. And among them is, for instance, the Splash Foundation, the organization we have been supporting for nearly a decade and teaching unprivileged children and foreign domestic helpers in Hong Kong to swim, which, fun fact or a sad fact, that half of the Hong Kong population don't know how to swim.
Oh, wow.
Whereas we have the longest global coastline as a global city and 260 islands to enjoy. So I think that's also where Splash comes in, and we are supporting that initiative. And on the other side, we support also Hong Kong Ballet, extending the community empowerment into the world of arts and giving our thanks to this amazing institution for the creative contribution to Hong Kong, which is our home city. So a lot of activities actually we carry here, aside of communication on how the shipyards conducting the production and construction process and all the exciting engineering technology that comes into making the boats more and more sustainable products. But we extend it strongly to communities and environment here. And I think that's also why I have accepted earlier this year to step into a role, Chief of ESG at Simpson Marine and San Lorenzo APAC, because that is something that really resonates with me in my beliefs, and somehow also links to that communication role. We need to do things and then communicate about them, inspire, connect, and make sure, more people, companies, and our own employees and team do the same.
Extraordinary, really. Congratulations. And
Thank
now
you.
that we've gathered all these cool insights from you, can you share with us which memory within your career is one you're most fond of?
Well, I would say there's so many memories within the 10 years of my experience with Simpson Marine, which actually falls now in August. So it's a celebratory moment for me, and hence lovely to have this discussion with you. So I would say that one of my proudest achievements maybe was the launching of San Lorenzo in Asia Pacific, because this year we also celebrate a 10 years milestone of partnership of Simpson Marine and San Lorenzo, aside of that being also my 10 years at Simpson Marine. So I think that whole launch and brand establishment was a complex multi-stage process that really required vision and teamwork and perseverance. And it really showed well how global brands can thrive when they respect and adapt to the local cultures. And it's really rewarding to see that the brand's reputation and recognition today is well established, with a solid fleet of San Lorenzo yachts delivered to our clients in APAC. And aside of that, I already mentioned working with communities, the oceans, the world of art gives me that particular satisfaction on a personal and a company level. So I'm very happy that at Simpson Marine that also resonates with the company's values, because I think, when you are many years within the role, and today I'm nearly 2 decades in the industry, you naturally want to expand somewhere else and want to start to give back more and to work with communities and environment. And that is exactly what I feel I needed at some stage of my career. I'm very happy we are doing that through Simpson Marine as well.
Thank you, Eva. And as we're getting into the last few questions of this podcast, these are always more privately linked. So are you a boater yourself? If yes, what kind of boating do you enjoy? Is there a destination you really like?
Yes, of course, I do enjoy spending time on the water, and there is really nothing like being at sea to fully unwind and disconnect from all the hassles ashore, and there are many. And my favorite destination, obviously, living in Hong Kong, it's Hong Kong for day boating. So we have, as I mentioned, 260 islands here, beautiful country parks to explore, especially the one on the eastern side, Sai Kung, where most of boaters go for turquoise waters and beautiful anchorages. When we consider broader Asia, I would say the Philippines is one of my favorite destinations. I've been there many times. And in particular, Busuanga and Palawan Islands are a true boater's paradise. The boaters, the divers, snorkelers, you name it. And as for a destination which is already pretty well established and it's a much loved destination, easy to go to, I would say Phuket and the Andaman Sea, with over 100 islands to enjoy and to explore. You can find both this serenity and also fun. And it's easy to go. There are planes and facilities everywhere, a fleet of very nice boats to explore all the islands around. And my dream now would be, I think, to expand that cruising experience within Indonesia. So certainly the Komodo Park in Labuan Bajo, the Banda Sea, and the ultimate jewel, which is the Raja Ampat.
Wow, I will have to do both some research and also expand my travel bucket list for this.
So I'm sure you'll enjoy.
And to wrap up this really, really insightful episode, and also for the young women listening and who might be struggling in the industry, what would you tell them as both a career and a lifestyle advice to propel and excel?
Yes, and again, thank you for bringing that question because you know that is a topic which is close to my heart. So I would say first, learn your basics. That's what I already said. You have to know your topic and you have to do your thorough research and never stop building that knowledge. I think, that's really number one, and that will drive your career growth and personal satisfaction. And I think expertise is what gives you confidence, and confidence gives you also a voice. So when you walk into a room prepared, people listen. And to this date, learning is one of the most stimulating and enjoyable activities to me as well. Hence, I'm very excited to go shortly to the Cannes Yachting Festival to learn even more about the industry and the new boats and technologies. Second, I would think certainly never underestimate the power of resilience. There will be moments where you feel out of place or overlooked. And that's also quite natural in some industry, including ours, that is still quite male dominated, I would say. But every no is, not a verdict of your worth, but simply just an invitation to find another way forward. And I think finding your own inner support circle to lean on it when needed is also essential, because asking for help is the sign of strength and maturity. And the third, I think, surround yourself with people who lift you up higher. So seek mentors, allies, colleagues, friends who believe in you and who give you that positive booster. I think also the strength of women supporting women is really uplifting and can give us wings. And finally, I think we have to also make sure we take care of ourselves. We avoid that burnout situation, which I think is also quite a common topic now in our industry. But overall, I think in the business world, this is also a demanding industry, and you can't pour from the empty cup. So I think protecting our energy, nurturing the passions outside of work, spending time with people who we love, and quality time with people who we love, and always being authentic person, authentic self. I think that is very important. And I think remembering that the industry needs us as we are, our own perspective, and that's important. We are not just nice to have. It's important for that long-term growth and sustainable, inclusive future of the industry, but also overall of the business world for us women.
Very applicable and very practical advice, and advice that goes a long way. Thank you. And
Welcome, my pleasure.
With this, we're wrapping up today's episode. Thank you everyone for the listen. And as the usual, you can follow us on Instagram on WIN_Women in Nautica. All the information regarding the latest conference happening on the 19th of November in Amsterdam during Metstrade in collaboration with Metstrade can be found on our website www.womeninautica.com. And of course, if you like this episode, give it a 5-star or a like on YouTube, share it with your colleagues and friends, and feel free to email us if you have any suggestions, questions, or just would love to get acquainted with WIN. Ewa, once again, thank you and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Anna. It has been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye.